So let's calm down now. Let's feel this energy that's already present in our environment here. Let's be really thankful to Pedro Manuel, his team, has been here, blessing us, preparing the environment. They will be energizing us during the time we'll be here. And also sending the energies for those at home, Carlos, to Colleen that just connected, and to Angela as well. So Pedro Manuel will be providing that energy for us. And so as well, let's connect with our Master Jesus, the Master, the model that made all this spiritual enlightenment to happen. These examples of how we should be interacting, we should be connecting with each other. Let's as well ask for all the energy, all the heart to be open, our mind to be open, to be able to interact and connect what Carlos is going to tell us. So we ask permission to start our lecture today. So be it.
So be it. Okay, everyone. Let me share my screen and let's start this. Screen number 1, share. Can you guys see it?
Yes.
Okay, let's see if I can do properly this. Now it's better or not?
Now I think you need to get the other screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
And the
so that's it.
presentation.
Okay, so that's a little bit better. Let me just put in here and you guys gonna be close to me. And first things first. Good evening, everyone. Before I start, I just would like to take the opportunity to be with all of you tonight. It's an honor, it's a pleasure, it's a great night for me to share some ideas in something that I do believe with my eyes closed. That's the Spiritist doctrine. And my name is Carlos. I'm a volunteer at the Gold Coast Spirit Center. We do lectures on Tuesdays, but most of them are in Portuguese. And we do also healing passes. And we have also study classes on Mondays, and everyone is invited to come on board. But tonight we are here to have a little chat about fear, the opposite of love. It's almost a poem, this title, because how you can talk about fear and how you can impose that fear is the opposite of love. Carlos, the correct should be hate, isn't it? No, technically the fear is the opposite of love. And I always like to go through definitions. Why definitions? Because we need to locate ourselves in what we are telling, okay? So fear as a noun could be a verb, but at this stage, we're going to talk about a noun. So it's an unpleasant emotion caused by a threat of danger, pain, or harm. And
Carlos?
hate, yes.
Can I interrupt you?
Yes.
Are you sitting in a computer with 2 screens?
Yes.
Okay, so if you do the presentation, when you choose the screen, you can do the presentation activate the presentation. And when you choose the screen, choose the screen with the full presentation. That will be then
Okay,
shown
wait
here.
a second. Okay,
Right, yeah.
okay. Let's do this. Okay, I'll stop sharing. Let me do this. And where's the Zoom meeting? Here is screen. Not share. It's a little bit of technical problem. That's fine. We're going to overcome this. Share screen. Share, is that better?
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay, okay. Still learning.
It's all right.
Still learning. This incarnation, we're going to learn a little bit more about computers. That's fine. So what's the opposite of love? We're going to start to talk about fear and hate. And fear, it's pretty much something, it's unpleasant emotion, okay? And hate, it's an intense dislike. They're quite similar. They have similarities, but it's not very clear when you call hate and fear and hate. Let's go a little bit further on that. How to explain hate? I like to start with that. Hate, it's from the Latin word odium. It's the dislike and aversion towards something or someone. It's a negative feeling, especially in which one wishes to harm to the hated subject or object. Let me just change the camera here, sorry. Okay, it's better. So hatred is related to enmity and repulsion, and people try to avoid or destroy what they hate, okay? And how to explain fear? Fear, it's more a sensation. Fear, it's a sensation that provides a state of alertness shown by the fear of doing something, usually because of feeling threatened, both physically and psychologically. Dread is the emphasis of fear, but not talk about that right now. Both of them, fear and hate, are feelings. However, the hate, it's basically created by the material world, and fear, it's created by your thoughts. So if fear is a primal rage, we have feelings. Yes, we do. We have before we go to why fear is important, why do we have fear? I'm going to start to ask questions here. Well, fear is a sensation that results from releasing hormones such as adrenaline. So that goes back to our cave days where we are trying to flee a scene where a T-Rex is trying to follow us. And that adrenaline causes us a quick and immediate speed on our heartbeat. So fear pretty much is an organism response to an aversive physical or mental stimulation whose function is to prepare the subject for a possible fight or flight. Yeah, everyone wants to fly when you see a T-Rex, believe me. But why it's important, fear? Fear is extremely important because that's basically a human survival technique, okay? A person without fear can expose themselves to extremely dangerous situations, risking their own life without considering the possible tragic consequences of their actions. A good example of that is the philophobia. So phobia is extreme fear. Philophobia is extreme fear of falling in love or being in love. Could we imagine someone that has extreme fear of falling in love? It's quite hard, isn't it? It's really, really hard. But one of the most important philosophers of all time, in my opinion, and people will pretty much share the same feeling, it's Master Yoda. Master Yoda said, fear is the path to dark side. Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. And hate leads to suffering. Okay, Carlos. So far, I understood the difference between hate and fear and etc. But what's next? Why we need to face fear? So facing fear, it's pretty much, it's underestimated feeling. Because if you do not understand what fear is, it can become hate. So fear is a feeling of great uneasiness when we are faced in real danger, imaginary danger or threat. So going back to the psychological thing, it's therefore a symptom arising from insecurity in the face of certain situations in life. Anyone can give me an example of why you feel fear and what kind of situation you're gonna feel fear?
Sorry, is us?
Yes, yes.
Can you repeat the question?
Just an example in what kind of situation we can face fear.
In a plane, for example.
In a plane, exactly. People have fear to flight. Yes.
Yes.
A dark alley.
A dark alley. Yes, people have fear of what can happen in a dark alley. Yes, exactly. And those situations are pretty much psychological feelings because you haven't experienced an airplane crash, maybe, or at least this reincarnation. A dark alley, you don't know what's waiting for you there. You don't know. When you don't know, that's fear. And that's why fear is important, because create that sight, create that alertness, okay?
Yep.
We understand what is fear, we understand what's hate, we understand that this can lead to something else. Okay, but what about what is love? A part of being the old music, I'm from the 70s, so you might remember this music from Hardaway's. What is love, baby? Don't hurt me no more. So that's kind of a question for what is love. But what do we understand about love? Love is an amazing and beautiful part of our life, but can it be frightening sometimes? Love is when you accept a sorry, yes? Question? No? Okay, move on. Love is when you accept a person with all of his or her qualities and flaws without complaining about anything. You too are willing to spend your whole life together. Regardless if it's man, women, brother, sister, father, daughter, whatever. But you are willing to spend this life together. It can be one-sided as well. When one person is totally in love and other person is afraid to take that step. For some people, for some people, it's a beautiful emotion. It's full of affections, but for some people, the thought of falling in love, it's nothing less than terrifying. Okay, we can understand a little bit more about love. Yes. And I divide the word love in three main types. The first one is what we call eros. The second one is philia. And the third one is agape. But let's go to the first one, eros. Eros was first mentioned by Plato. Plato is the father of the modern philosophy. Plato defined love in one of his 35 dialogues. And of course, he never used the word love because he didn't speak English. He used to speak ancient Greek, and in ancient Greek, he defined the word love as eros. Eros is simple. Eros means desire. You love what you desire. It can be he, she, it, whatever. You love what you desire. You love what you desire at the intensity that you desire. You love what you desire at the intensity of that you desire whilst you desire. Consequently, when the desire finishes, the love for that finishes as well. Now, if love is desire, what's the definition of desire? So desire is the absence of it, says Plato. The desire is the search for what is needed. The desire is what we don't have and we want to have. The desire is what we are, not what we want to be. Sorry. The desire is what we are not and what we want to be. Better saying. The desire is what we don't do and we would like to do. In short, you love what you want and want what you don't have. When you have, you don't want anymore. That's simple. Using a Platonic definition, the examples go to infinity. For example, I'm crazy about cars, especially the old ones, especially the Ford Thunderbird 58 convertible. It's a beauty. The day that I have that car, my desire is healed. So the love for the car disappears. So eros, it's a strong wish to have or do something. But of course, at that moment, Aristotle raises his hand and says that love cannot be just that. Aristotle, the founding father of science, he taught us how to investigate. Therefore, Aristotle is going to propose to us a second definition of love. And this definition is completely different from Plato's. It's not the desire for what is absent, but for the joy of what you have. This is the famous gratitude. And this type of love he called philia. You will find philia in philosophy, the love of wisdom. This meeting of ours today can be treated of an Aristotelian point of view and not a Platonic love, because we are enjoying the moment. Of course, Aristotle's love is for the car that I have and not for the one in the dealership. Aristotle's love is a reconciliation with the world when it's happy, and the world, it's not happy always. We do not love them all the time. Carlos, hold on a second. If desire is the love of Plato, is the search for what is needed, what is it? The definition of joy, actually, that I propose, it's not Aristotle's. The joy is the path to a more powerful state of being. I will repeat for you to enjoy. Joy is the path to a more powerful state. But at the moment you say, I really didn't understand. Sorry. Okay. So during the day, you see that your energy motivates you. And at the same time, it fluctuates. Okay? So Nietzsche calls this energy the will of strength. Schopenhauer calls just will. Freud calls libido. And Spinoza, the power to act. Of course, the journey from a more powerful state of being is joy. So if one side of the pendulum goes to Plato, that is love of absence or desire, and the other side goes to Aristotle, where we have joy of what is not missing, which way do I go? Well, you don't think that you came here tonight to talk about what's right, what's wrong between Plato and Aristotle, do you? So philia at this stage is the love of or enthusiast for having an affinity with a given thing. But at least between Plato and Aristotle, I can say that both of them are right. So the big challenge is that it is to translate the desire into joy, but without the possibility of seeing the joy, the search for what is missing becomes insane, literally. And finally, we reach out to agape. Agape was defined by our founding father of our culture and our civilization. That's my opinion. That's our JC. I call him JC because I'm very close to him. JC is our Jesus. Because Jesus says his love is for anyone, regardless. Then cannot be desire, because you cannot wish everyone. Even if you could, it will be the Christianization of eros, because you have the desire for everyone. And with certainty, the love of Christ is not joy for everyone, because there's a lot of strange people out there, believe me. So the big difference between the love of Christ is that what matters, and that is what the other person feels. Tomás de Aquino says in his theological summary, the ASICs of loving relationship moves towards the loved one. In other words, what matters in the love of Christ is the order to feel beloved, neither eros nor philia. Neither the lover's desire nor the lover's joy. But Carlos, does that apply for everything? Yes, that applies for everything. But what about our professional lives? We enter to split, with blood in our eyes, to destroy our opponents and willing to do anything to triumph. That's true. But when you take off your uniform or your working clothes, you are lighter people. And to contextualize and exemplify what I mean, I will start with a story that happened in my family a few months ago with my youngest, that he walked through a glass window that I have here. There was blood everywhere. We ran to the hospital, got treated, and everything is fine. He's brilliant. Now he's riding his bike and he's loving his swimming classes. But at that night, all I wanted was to get him out of that suffering, and by putting me to suffer in his place. So I want to exchange places. But you cannot bargain with God. Even though I said I would bear, the suffering for 20 children, you cannot bargain that. Well, I will use another example that I remember as a nightclub in Santa Maria, Brazil. Okay. That nightclub got in flames. People who were saved returned to help and save all the people. They went through an inferno. Knowing or not, the people who were inside, people sacrificed their own lives to help strangers. Many other cases had happened, not only in Brazil, but in the world. Here in Australia, the bushfires, the flooding, the droughts. Well, this is agape, because agape is everywhere. Agape means love. Agape, it's a Greek word. Agape can be self-driven and self-giving love, unconditional love. The expression agape was used in several different ways amongst the Greeks and passages in the Bible. This is the love of Christ, not the meaning that I run to this or another church. I experience the love of Christ. Everyone might experience this once in a while. But once again, friends, family dedicated themselves to prayers and care. At these times, you see gratitudes giving meaning to that word. Perhaps one of the closest forms of love, of Christ's love, is the mother's love. It's unconditional love. Agape, again, is the love of Christ. So why fear is opposite of love? As humans, we live in fear. As a child, we learn to look for approvals, and we learn that we are not good enough. The fear of being rejected setting very early, and we live the rest of our lives under the shadows of this fear. We create a mask, not only part of us that we have the courage to show to each other. We cannot fully position ourselves, feel whole and strong. We are at the mercy of others, family, society, judgments, opinions. We learn limits. We silence our instincts and feelings. We lock emotions deep within our being simply because we think they are a sign of weakness. As if we were born with a manufacturing defect, we hide our anger, we hide our dreams, we hide our monsters. Nobody taught us to love. Nobody warned us that this monster within is just a child, free in such a way that it hurts all who follow patterns. We were not taught to relate, to be the other, to understand that people has an abyss deeper than ours. People have problems. We were born into society with goals, set time, direction to follow. They didn't let us to try other paths that perhaps longer, but more beautiful and rich in life. Using our masks, we try to interact with the others people's masks, each one projecting the image that they believe they're best, without, however, actually showing themselves. At this point, we lose any possibility of identity, as the image we have of ourselves is different from the image we project to others. And we become more and more alone and disconnected from our own being, leaving only a puppet of ourselves within reach of the world. So we are not us anymore. After a while, we are tired and confused. The relationship becomes a burden in trying to maintain the image that we no longer connected with. And the other one will probably be collapsing in the same way because he can't feel himself anymore. And moreover, he cannot feel belonging and welcome. Each one of the projects from himself, what he can be, guards himself from any involvement that touches his being. In this game, many expectations are created, imposing on the other the responsibility for our happiness. I'll repeat this. In this game that we are playing every single day, many expectations are created, and we impose those expectations on the other's responsibilities. It is nothing more, nothing less than a desperate attempt to find security and shelter. But we forget that these bases can only exist within us. And then there are demands and disappointments, fueling our fears even more. Each person is only responsible for their half of the relationship. Do the best you can and let the other half take care of the other half. Fear is the result of a state of forgetfulness, which takes us away from our essence, which deludes us as being different and isolated from each other. And all there is, the essence of all things, which is love. When we have the courage to look our fears, to open old emotional wounds, to expose ourselves without the mask, what we have left, love. When we stop hoping that there is a collective emotional healing in which everyone can live without the veils of illusion, we only can take the responsibility for our healing. We cannot let people heal us. This is in ours. This is within us. Just remembering who we really are. Just embracing our most varied characteristics. We will be ready to embrace the another, because it will no longer be different from me, and will be not necessarily to judge. If we can let go of our defenses, we can see our own reflection in everything around us. Each and every manifestation of nature will be an extension of us. And finally, when we are open to love, we can assume our half of the relationship without fear, knowing that we are in the relationship fully. We will recognize the importance of being with someone who also wants to be with us. Guys, I believe that my time has quickly run out here. Any questions?
You're inside the time, Carlos. So good.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's love. Here's Colleen.
Well, that was pretty much a lesson to myself, because we are always in fear of what we can do or we cannot do, isn't it? We always put our major expectations towards others. So when we start to take the responsibility of others to make you happy, you start to understand a little bit more of yourself.
That's true.
Yeah.
So
I like when you said indicated that when we remove the fear, the love arises. So that's the picture I have with me, because the love is always there. The love is, it's where all is.
Yes.
So we mask that, or we cover that with our, as you said, insecurities or fear. And when we manage to awake and remove that layer, then the love just naturally arises. And I think we live those moments in our lives, moments where the love arises, and then we somehow cover again for some reason, and then arise. So we are, I feel, at least by myself, in this situation where I can experience this loving arising, and sometimes I just lose it, if you wish. So yeah, thank you very much. It was very, very good for me. I loved it.
Thank you, guys.
Hello, Carlos.
Hello, Colin.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. You?
Yes, I am speaking through my mum, who is here with me. We are blessed by your beautiful presence in our group, and we thank you. Yes,
Thank you. Thank you.
yes. Can I just say, this word love is extremely problematic for so many, and
Yes, it
for
is.
those that are trying so hard to move mountains, to move themselves into that space of love. The word itself is always going to be a thorn in our hearts because we feel we are falling short, because we feel imperfect often, because we don't feel in love, in that state of bliss with our neighbor who is playing loud music. We feel that sense of frustration with ourselves because we don't get on with our parents, or we don't get on with our brothers and sisters or our workmates, and yet we want to feel that sense of love. Can I say that as an alternative to love, because it is a concept that we are unable to explain, but a more gentler and more accessible word or concept is connection.
Yes.
So what we feel when we feel fear is that we are not connected in that moment to that space of presence. We delve into the possibilities of what could be and hypotheticals. And so we sit not in a state of presence, because if we were present, we would know that all is good
Yes.
and that we are in a place of grace, all of us. But fear takes over, and we go, I want to love this person, or I want to be that in this state of love. And so in fear, we almost give ourselves an escape hatch, but the escape is like hell, because we know we are not connecting with the present. But we continue to use the word love. We need to feel love. We want to feel love. And we repeat it over and over. And so we are not present. And so we are not in that state of connection with all that is. Connection with God. And God is ever present in all things. We are astounded by the concept that God is in and through and about in everything that we are, in everything that we live with. And it is for each of us to breathe and to embrace this moment in connection with everything that is God, that is love, and to find it in this present moment, to trust in the divine process. This means that we just breathe, and as Gisele just said, everything that needs to happen, our course of action will be guided not by our mind racing, but divine light that moves through us, that will direct our attention, that will direct our action, that will enable us to sit in peace and love and act accordingly. Yes. So it is in connection with all that is, and that, of course, will allow love to pour forth. But it is in the connection, in the trust that all is good in everything that we are, in everything that is. But the word love is troubling for so many of us because there is this expectation.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Colin. Thank you very much.
Anyone else like to put any comments? No? So I think we can move to our prayer box.
No, no, I didn't.
All right, Carlos, would you be kind enough to have a final prayer and prayer box as well? To wrap
Absolutely.
the night for us.
Absolutely.
I forgot to tell you, Carlos, that
That's Jackson's fault.
it's my fault.
He didn't
That's
update
the
you.
presenter, the lecture, finished the lecture then with the prayer box.
That's all right. Don't be silly. We are all brothers and sisters.
Oh no, that's my chance to put some fault on Jackson.
Ah, okay, okay.
From me.
Okay. Yeah, it's your fault. It's your fault. I have to come another time to do that, if I'm allowed to.
Yes,
But
Carlos.
just before we go to our pray, in every lecture that I do, every presentation, I connect with my mentor and I always ask for wisdom. And tonight he came to me saying something that it will be shared with you in one of the most beautiful praise, and in times of desperation, I always reach out him. So it's the prayer of St. Francis. And that is so powerful for me. And every time that I'm desperate, regardless if I'm with fear, hate, or anger, I always read through that. So I would invite every one of you just to sit comfortably, and you may close your eyes if you desire, and just follow my words at this stage. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there are hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled, but to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it's in giving that we receive, and it's in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it's dying that we are born to the eternal life. All of you and every single of you who are watching me tonight, I appreciate your time, patience, and care. So our lives will be blessed for another week. And our mentors and our good spirits and everyone who vibe for us be blessed tonight. Thank you very much and have a wonderful, wonderful night.
Thank
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you.
Carlos.
Thank you. What a pleasure. What a pleasure. Thank you very much.
It was beautiful. Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you.
Bye, guys from Zoom.
Bye-bye. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye.